Hi, welcome to Elizabeth Reads. Today we're reading A Place Called Perfect. We are in Chapter 28, A Powerful Fear. Carefully, Violet and Boy ran back across the rooftops until they reached the bathroom window. They climbed inside and hurried down the 3 floors out onto Forgotten Road. It was almost midday and all was quiet on the main street. They kept out of sight of the watchers as they snuck back through the town. Nearing Wickham Terrace, the energy in the air changed. Something was amiss. Suddenly, a woman rushed out of the door of her lopsided house. "That's her!" she snarled, pointing at Violet. "That's her!" Another woman, about Violet's man's age, ran from the same door and grabbed her top, pulling her roughly back. "The cheek of you!" the second woman roared. "Don't you think we have it hard enough without setting the watchers on us?" "Let go of me!" Violet yelled, struggling to break the woman's hold. "I haven't done anything wrong." "Not yet, young one, but you're trying, you and that boyfriend of yours. Just leave us alone. We don't need any trouble." "She hasn't done anything," Boy shouted, pulling Violet away to stand between the pair of them. "They're talking revolution in Will Archer's place. No man's landers sneaking around in the daylight will be rising suspicions from the watchers. Your names are all around the place as the ones behind it. Know anything about that, do ya?" the woman hissed, almost nose to nose with Boy. Quickly, Boy grabbed Violet's arm and they sprinted toward William Archer's. They raced through the tiny streets and without knocking pushed open the door of the ramshackle house. The heat hit Violet first, then the smell of sweat. The room was packed with people, and they had to push their way through a sea of legs to get near the front of the crowd. Violet recognized a few faces from the streets of No Man's Land, but others she'd never seen before. Some seemed happy, but most grunted and growled as William faced the room from the top of a rocky old footstool. "What about the watchers? There's not enough of us in No Man's Land to take them on," one man shouted. "We'll have numbers when we change the perfectionists back," William said. "Then we fight. I'm willing to give my fists an airing if you are, gents. And ladies, of course." "We'll never beat them," another man called. "We will with a bit of luck," William replied. "Once our friends and families in Perfect realize we're still alive, they'll join us. You'll see." "And how do you propose they'll see us? Hasn't that been the problem all along, William? I thought you stopped talking this nonsense long ago. It's doing none of us any good. We're here to stay in No Man's Land, and it's about time some of us accepted that." "A man of your imagination stands defeated, Frederick," William replied, looking straight into his eyes. "They will see us again, I promise you." "It's a promise you can't keep, William." "Yes, he can." Violet stepped out in front of the crowd. "Violet!" William exclaimed, jumping down from the stool. "Thank heavens you're all right. And Boy, is he with you?" "He's there," Violet said, pointing him out in the crowd. "How did you get on?" William whispered anxiously. Violet pulled the empty flask from her trouser belt and handed it to him. Cupping the glass in both hands, he held the bottle tightly to his chest and inhaled long and deep. "Our families will see us," he shouted, jumping back onto the stool. He shoved the flask into the air for all to witness. "My 2 young friends made sure of that." The crowd began to whisper, and William waited for them to settle again before he started to explain. "Archer's tea is blinding our families, and I've developed an antidote that will reverse its effects. My 2 brave friends here administered it to the tea leaves in the factory right this very morning. It's my brother's pride and joy, I've been told, that freshly brewed tea is delivered to every home and workplace in the town each day. And because of this, by tomorrow, our families will see us again. If we were to walk down the streets of what was once our town. They won't, however, recognize us yet, and that's the next part of our plan, to zap them with the Reimaginator. If we can all do that, Perfect will fall." "The what?" someone laughed at the end of the room. "The Reimaginator," William replied seriously, before he explained how his brother's rose-tinted glasses robbed the imagination, how their BR technology made people see only what the Archers wanted them to, and how his machine, the Reimaginator, could fix all that. "And why do our families not fight back? Why do they not question anything? Our disappearances, the regime imperfect? Because nothing seems out of the ordinary to them. They've lost their ability to imagine an alternative life. They've lost independent thought," William finished. Someone laughed from across the room. "Well, I'm delighted I stayed to hear you answer our questions, William, because now I know for sure that you're crazy. I'm out of here," a red-bearded man shouted, pushing aside the crowd as he forced his way to the door. "They called you crazy too, Sam. There was a time nobody could stop you doing what you loved. Remember when people called you a dreamer? It's why you're here in No Man's Land. It's why we're all here. We were all dreamers once. Can we not dream together again?" "I've grown up, William, and you should too. Accept where you are and move on. Build a life here. It's all you've got now. Others began to move too, passing out of the house in silence. Why now, William? Another man asked. I mean, I was with you at the beginning, but then you disappeared and we all gave up. What's happened to bring back your fight? What brought you out of hiding? William turned to face him. It's Macula, Merrill. My brothers have her. I gave up because I had nothing to fight for. I thought she was dead. Then, with the help of Violet and Boy here, I found out she's still alive. That's what brought me back. The crowd still trickled out the door. Look, we are in no man's land because we are different, William shouted, addressing those slipping from the room. What's happened to your imaginations? Where's the fight? You're all acting like perfectionists. We have a responsibility to our families in Perfect. It's up to us, the outsiders, to show them the way, to wake them up. If we don't at least try, then we're just as controlled as they are, except we've no excuse for our ignorance. Grow up, Archer. No man's land is our lot. What's the point in fighting? I remember the rebellions, the beatings, the blood. I remember it all. I don't want to go back there. If you draw the Watchers down on us, you'll have me to answer to, a woman roared as she left the house. The crowd filtered steadily outside, and William stepped down from the stool. It's no good, he said, his head in his hands. They won't fight. Violet stepped forward. It's okay, she said. We can do it without them. I know it will be harder, but we can still make it happen. Violet, William smiled, looking down at her. You are a lovely child. Your enthusiasm knows no bounds, but in this case, 3 against so many just won't be enough. What about 4? A figure stepped forward from the shadows. Merrill, I thought you'd left with the others. No, William. I thought about it, I must confess, Merrill said. But I've missed the adventures we had taking on your brothers. Making toys serves me well here, but it's no substitute for my family. It's time to get them back. So, where do I sign up? That's the end of that chapter. See you next time.